To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not just their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast. Hello everyone and welcome back to
the Chiss Ascendancy.
We are in episode 107. Go ahead.
No, I think I'll hold back today. Just kidding. We made it. We made it to 107. We made it all the way here.
Episode 107, and this episode is titled Heir to the Empire, Read Through Part 3, and What the Hell with Ben Solo. That's the name of this episode.
Nice little tagline.
Yep.
What's that that scene from The Office where Michael Scott's like trying to make this headline? It's like, some people still know how business is done. You know, he's done like this whole freaking...
I don't know. You've seen The Office way more times than I have.
Yeah.
But we're going to jump right in. We've been trying to do this in 30 minutes or less the last 2 weeks unsuccessfully. I can guarantee it's not going to be 30 minutes this week.
It won't happen.
But we're going to jump right in. So, first things first, little newsy news. Breaking news!
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to come right out and say it. I'm pissed. I'm very upset. I wanted the chance to cry again.
I'm going to say it. I don't care that you broke your arm.
I don't care that you hurt your elbow. So, there's a article that came out a couple of days ago. We're recording this Wednesday evening. It'll come out Friday, so it'll have been probably 4 or 5 days by the time this gets out. But whatever, we're not getting paid to deliver the news anyway.
Or to do anything.
Yeah, well...
this related.
Yeah.
Jobs.
So, Adam Driver sat down with Variety, or Variety posted this. Let's see. It's actually an Associated Press interview.
It's weird. I saw it on a post on Facebook.
Yeah. So it says, in a recent sit-down with the Associated Press, Driver said that over the span of 2 years, he and Steven Soderbergh developed a script called The Hunt for Ben Solo. The film would have taken place in the years after The Rise of Skywalker and followed Adam Driver's Kylo Ren, a.k.a. Ben Solo, on a search for redemption. And so here's the article. I'll just kind of read the main 3 paragraphs, and then we'll just give our thoughts.
Yes.
I really wanted to talk about this. I was in favor of doing a whole separate episode about this.
I don't know what we could do for an entire episode, I'll be honest with you. I mean,
You don't
besides
think
just
that the two of
hypothesizing.
us could talk for an hour about this?
I think that you could do it all by yourself, but...
I should have. You know
yeah.
what? I'm gonna. No. So it says, I was always interested in doing another Star Wars. Driver said, I've been talking about doing another one since 2021. Mm-hmm. Kathleen Kennedy had reached out. I always said, with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. I loved that character and loved playing him. Driver described the film as handmade and character-driven, comparing it to 1980's Empire Strikes Back. The White Noise Star said that the film would be said that film, meaning Empire Strikes Back, is the standard of what Star Wars movies should be.
I agree with that.
Soderbergh and Driver pitched The Hunt for Ben Solo to Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Carrie Beck at Lucasfilm, who loved the idea. However, when they took script over to Disney, they were shut down. We presented the script to Lucasfilm. They loved the idea, Driver recalled. They totally understood our angle and why we were doing it. We took it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, and they said no, they didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, and that was that. Soderbergh also says, I really enjoyed making the movie in my head. I'm just sorry the fans won't get to see it. Driver agreed, calling the project one of the coolest scripts I have ever been a part of.
You know what you wanted?
Go ahead.
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
Yeah. So, here's what I don't understand. Okay? Bob Iger is not a storyteller. He's not a director. He's not an author. He's not a writer. He is a professional moneymaker. Mm-hmm. His job is to make sure that Disney makes money.
You know what he wants to make?
So here's my weird thing, okay? And we don't have to stay on this long, but I had to talk about it, and I wanted to put something out there so that people could hear our thoughts and comment if they so wish. I don't understand why Bob Iger... I guess I'm confused as to there's no way on God's green earth that every script and every concept for every movie that Disney's gonna make makes it to Bob Iger and Bob Iger says yes or no. That's not how this works. Like, you know, whenever they're talking about the in the making of the Phantom Menace and George is going with his two markers, and this is real and this is digital and this is real and this is digital. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
And he's like, and he makes it like 4/5 of the way through, and then he marks one wrong and he goes, no, which is pretty funny. It's a very human moment for George. But
Human moment for a human man.
yeah, I just don't see a world where Bob Iger goes, all right, we'll go ahead and make Coco, and we're going to make Up 2, and we're going to go ahead and make this. And like, how do you greenlight, and this is Marvel versus Star Wars, but it's all under the Disney umbrella, like things like The Marvels. How does that movie get made? How does anything post
You know, there's a lot of
The
stuff
Last
happening right now
Avengers?
that I'm like, how does that happen?
Yes, dude. I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
and this is not me trying to poo-poo on the Marvels or any of those, whatever. I never watched the movie. It looked god-awful, and I'm not really a huge Marvel fan, so I didn't watch it. But, like, okay, even for Star Wars, the scripts and things of that nature for the Acolyte had to go through a process, and they got all the way through the process, and they got approved and everything and made it out. And this is not me taking a dump on the Acolyte. Statistically speaking, via IMDb, the masses say that it's the worst Star Wars project.
You know what they say?
Go ahead. So, I guess my point is, Bob Iger's number one job is to make sure that the Disney company's making money. And whether you liked The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, or The Rise of Skywalker, and many people thought that The Force Awakens was a remake of Episode 4, but a lot of people in general liked it. Then you have people that didn't like Episode 8.
Yeah.
Okay? And yet then you have hardcore Episode 8 fans. And then the coin completely flipped because people who didn't like 8 liked 9 to the extent that it did as much as it could to bring the story back on the trajectory it was originally put on.
Yeah.
And then you had Colin Trevorrow's The Duel of the Fates, which is a really, really cool story that they ended up canning, which would have been a better version of 9 in my opinion. But all that to say, every one of those movies made a ton of money.
Yeah.
And the strong point of the sequel trilogy is Kylo Ren via Adam Driver. The strongest acting in maybe Star Wars ever is Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. He may be one of the most convincing characters. Like, for as much as we love...
He was compelling, yes.
Like, in the prequels, people always, complained and moaned about Hayden Christensen's acting.
Yeah.
Right? Even though George was directing it and he is Star Wars and he said Hayden did exactly what he wanted. So I don't know what you want Hayden to do about it. But
Yeah, I think they just don't like that Darth Vader's actually a little bit autistic.
I guess. I mean...
We hate it.
It's how do you have the guy with the best acting chops who literally got a hernia from carrying the sequel trilogies, and we don't want to have that idea? And then the whole, I don't see how he could be alive. I don't understand that. Like, how does anything happen? Like, Ahsoka season 1 falls off a cliff, and instead of falling to her death, she falls into the world between worlds. Like, obviously, I don't want a Dragon Ball Z effect where everybody dies and you go get their 9 Dragon Balls and they can come back to life. I don't want that either. But we're talking about the grandson of Anakin freaking Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, if there's anybody that could make it out, how are we going to say we don't know how Ben could plausibly make it back, but the most memed line in maybe Star Wars history is somehow Palpatine returned.
Right.
Like, homie went down a trash compactor chute and exploded. Like, in his spirit...
He had some good Force clones in his back pocket.
Yeah, but it's just like his soul was just like, like across the freaking... Like, Leia should have frozen to death in the vacuum of space, and she does the Mary Poppins thing that, a lot of people don't like
started
from...
on space physics, man.
But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's Star Wars, dude. Like, the space physics in itself. George Lucas says, when I need fire, there's fire in space. Like, we're talking about wizards and magic and the Force and the will of the Force. And part of his life force is put into Rey to save Rey.
Yeah, and sound traveling through a vacuum, stuff like that.
Everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to make scientific sense.
True. All of it.
So, I mean, I just feel like we were robbed. I feel like we were absolutely robbed. I feel like the Mando Grogu movie, a lot of people are saying, and I'm looking forward to it, and I love The Mandalorian. Season 3 was a little bit lackluster in my personal opinion, but 1 and 2 were certified bangers. The end of Season 2 was some of the best Star Wars we've gotten in a really long time. I didn't like that they undid a lot of Mando Season 2 in the Book of Boba Fett. So it was weird that you have a culmination of this moment where Luke gets Grogu, and then we just undo it. And so there's a lot of people out there that are worried, like, is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie going to be Mando Season 2 style stuff, or is it going to be Mando Season 3 style stuff? And was there even going to be a Season 4, but it wasn't received well because Season 3 was a severe downgrade from Season 2? Therefore, we took like 3 or 4 episodes and just smushed them together and put them on the silver screen, and that's what the Mandalorian movie is going to be, is just a 3-episode arc of what was going to be Season 4.
Yeah.
So it just seems like this was a riskier, harder to explain, needed more lore, needed more unpacking, all of these things, but that's the greater overall story. Like, if you pull that story off with Ben coming back, or maybe transcending or going back and forth between the physical and spiritual planes of the cosmic living force, like, these are things that we've been looking for. Like in this in the script for episode 9.
Been looking for.
Ben Solo looking for. So, what are your thoughts?
I know that you're Solo not searching for.
I know you're not as upset about it, but
I mean, it's, no use crying over spilt blue milk. You know what I mean?
Except for there is.
It would have been neat, you
Yeah.
know, but I already didn't have it. I'll never agree with the decisions they make over there.
Yeah. It just makes me frustrated because here's one of the best actors we've ever gotten, who you hear a lot of, like, you hear Oscar Isaac, who played Poe, say things like, it would have to be perfect conditions, and maybe I'd do another Star Wars if I wanted a new house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like hearing big actors, or actors in general, talking about what should be the greatest and most beloved franchise and the greatest piece of modern media being talked about, like how Steven Tyler talked about American Idol.
Yeah. Well, it's basically like Harrison Ford's whole life story, though, right?
What do you mean?
Harrison Ford hates people asking him about Star Wars.
Yeah. But Harrison Ford's a curmudgeon.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just saying, it's like, it wasn't exclusive to the sequel trilogy.
Right. What I guess what I'm saying is, yes, 100% to your point. And Harrison had a great experience making it. He had a great experience with George. Him and Mark and Carrie were very close for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Mark still loved it. Carrie loved it until she passed. God rest her soul. And then you have, it feels like the majority of people who were working on the sequels were unhappy with how it was performed. Like, they asked John Boyega recently, how would you direct the sequels, or what would you do with the sequels? And he was like, well, we're not going to just kill off the OGs. That's what we're not going to do.
Right.
And we're not going to have a bunch of people just walking up and being masters of the lightsaber. They've got to earn it like everybody else earned it. And, like, you can tell that there's, like, not a bitterness, because he seems to be happy and everything, but there's just we dropped the ball with the sequel trilogy in a lot of ways. And that's not coming from me. That's coming from the people who worked on it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I hear you.
You get the best one of the group as far as compellingness and story and acting, and he wants to come back and he's pitching it, and you have a guy who's a great director, and you get Dave Filoni, who's basically George Lucas Jr., to read on and go, yeah, this makes sense, and I love the direction you're taking it. Anyways,
yeah,
maybe there's a way. I know there's a Rey movie coming out at some point, supposedly. Maybe all this pushback and backlash.
Thank God we have
help.
that, right?
That's what I'm saying, dude. You're making my point for me. Okay, so that's I had to go off for a second. So y'all let me know what you think. I mean, I know a lot of people that I talk to about it are really irritated because it's a great piece of media that we're supposedly never going to get now. So what we're really here to talk about is Heir to the Empire #3, leading off of part 2. really, there's not a whole lot of recap to do because all of our eggs in one basket. Luke, Han, and Leia are all trying to link up with Lando.
Gang's all together again.
They're all together, and our goal is to find Leia somewhere safe to hide while we figure out where there's a mole or there's a rat.
Yeah.
Or, a terrorist snitch, as Conor McGregor would say.
A Bothan or something. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, maybe him.
Who knows?
But they are on, basically they've linked up with Lando. They're on the planet that he's in charge of with the cool close the blinds ship that keeps the sun away or whatever. And
the cool space umbrella.
It says that the Empire has found them there. And that's where we pick up. So of course, like I said, every time we'll put the pictures that really stand up to us on screen. The cover for part 3, it's actually funny because it's the image of Han from the cover of part 2 and the image of Chewie from the cover of part 3 are from the same original photo. I don't know if you noticed that. But we've got Chewie along with a couple of other Wookiees in the Force.
Which is always cool because up until this point, on screen, you'd only ever seen one Wookiee. So now you get to see in print 3 Wookiees?
3 Wookiees.
Yeah,
and one very
neat.
special Wookiee that we get to meet, Ral Rasheen, which is my favorite Wookiee maybe. So, jumping right in, Luke, Han, and Leia are all in the first little picture here in their own little circles. And they're worried about this Super Star Destroyer that's come out of orbit. And just as things are starting to heat up, there are TIE fighters and, because of the Super Sun.
Because the Super Sun.
You have TIE fighters and the troop transports coming around the bend to try to get them. And it says, half closing his eyes, flying on reflex, Luke reaches out with the Force. And what do you think he's reaching for here? Is he just
like he's
feeling
kind
out the
of
battle?
It
Or
seems
is
like
he-
he's replicating the trench run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like they're just kind of going into he's got like sort of a forced
Do you-
trance thing
Do you
going
think
on.
that he's just seeing if Ben will reach out?
I don't think he is. I think he's just purely trying to connect to the
focused?
Force. Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, we get a crazy, everything's exploding. Straight to jail.
Right the way, jail.
Right to jail. And Luke comes out of his trance, eyes wide open, right? Because we just saw in the last panel, his eyes are half closed. Eyes are wide open. And he hears or feels a voice in the Force say, Luke. And he says, Ben, in response. So this is the only ever time it's happened to him has been through Obi-Wan.
Right.
And
At least
of
at
course,
some distance, right? Because you have kind of his connection with Vader and Leia both, I think, across different panels or, an Empire.
Yeah, I guess he does have that with Vader, where he's like, Luke.
Full-on conversation, yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, this is Master Sabaoth. He says, you will come to me, Luke. You must come to me. Who are you? Where are you from? And Sabaoth responds, you will find me, and the Jedi shall rise again. Until then, farewell. And all of these TIE fighters explode, and it seems...
And Luke's like, how'd you get this? This is an unlisted number.
Yeah.
I
I got a little bit confused here for just a moment because I thought that Sabaoth was exploding these ties to be like, hey, this is me extending an olive branch of sorts. But it's actually the Falcon did all the work.
Yeah, well, and it seems like Luke is also kind of in a battle trance that is a big thing in... actually, it's not even just Legends anymore. There's the whole battle trance thing in... what is it? Master and Apprentice? Where Qui-Gon's trying to teach Obi-Wan basically how to just go into a battle trance. It's a cool little story arc. But
I forgot about that one.
you think, or I guess it's kind of implicated here that Luke was doing a lot of the fighting because he comes out of his trance. He's lost track of an entire half hour. And they're like, you going to follow him all the way back to the mothership? Or, he's like, what's going on here?
It seems like, well, it's either he was fighting on autopilot or he wasn't fighting at all because Luke said it's over, and then he has a thought by the Force, somehow I've lost half an hour, and Leia says it's over, we got 3 TIE fighters, the rest retreated. So I wonder if the Falcon was like coming out there guns a-blazing while Luke was just like like asleep on the couch.
Yeah, I kind of gathered it more as like Leia's a big we kind of gal, as opposed to like just we on the ship. It's like we as a unit.
So you think that
I think
Luke was fighting while in the trance?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
That's because it seems like he was still engaged, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Then again, I guess they kind of have the plan that he distracts him and the Falcon, gets him or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. He was involved. He was definitely doing stuff.
He was there.
He was doing stuff.
And then on the next page, we get a cool panel of Sabaoth with Thrawn. Anytime they're on the same page, it's just fireworks.
Yeah.
A lot of sexual tension between those two.
Especially in the panel where Thrawn's like, I trust you always. And always is in bold print. And I was like, yeah, let me settle down.
Yeah.
All right.
Hands and feet to yourself. Pelion says they're clear,
Preverts.
Admiral. And little side note here, Sabaoth says the troop carriers obtained 51 of the mole miners. You saw it. Mm-hmm. So we need some diggers.
Yep.
So I don't know. I honestly can't remember what those are for.
Yeah, no, it's been a while since I've read the actual book.
Yeah.
So,
But it's interesting because Sabaoth says Thrawn tells Sabaoth, you look like you're having trouble, and Sabaoth says, I had a conversation with Luke Skywalker.
Sabaoth was like, no, I was multitasking. Thrawn, look it up sometime.
Yeah. He looked, you were struggling. Actually, I was doing this one thing and doing a whole other thing.
Your thing, no problem. My thing,
A little bit of a problem.
kind of a problem.
A little strong. Sabaoth says he's there right now. He arrived on Klon just ahead of the Judicator. And Thrawn says, and you said nothing to me? And Sabaoth responds, I told you before, you will leave Skywalker alone. I will deal with him in my own way, in my own time.
He's like, what, 2 things isn't enough? You want me to do 3 things now?
Trust me, Grand Admiral Thrawn, he will respond. Thrawn says, I always trust you. And it's I wrote a note here.
Always trust you. Forgot to put emphasis on that.
Yeah, always.
Always.
I put a note here. Luke needs a guide as much as Sabaoth needs a pupil.
Yeah, it's the whole thing that, like, I feel like you even see this at this stage in, like, the Sith legends, that it's like, I think the Sith seek immortality more than the Jedi, but none of them successfully attain it. And the whole thing is like, if you don't have anybody to teach your stuff to, what was the point?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just dies with you.
Yeah, there's a very interesting dynamic in Dynasty of Evil by Drew Karpyshyn, the final of the
Yes.
Bane trilogy, where Bane is thinking he's at a crossroads where all of the knowledge is passed to Zana, and does she take it and run with it?
He's like, she hasn't tried to kill me yet, so new
Yeah.
apprentice question mark?
And the other thing is, yeah, he's like, do I try to find someone else that's more hungry that'll try to at least kill me?
Yeah.
Or if I'm seeking immortality via essence transfer, you have Plagueis who was trying to manipulate midichlorians to just continually give life to the user, and then you had Bane who was just going to transfer his essence
Yeah.
into the next character.
Another great Mark Hamill character.
Yes. So it's interesting that, yet, like you said, there's he feels this strong attraction to trying to take Luke. I think he knows if he can
It
corrupt
seems-
Luke, everything else is kind of in the
Seems
bag.
For sure that Thrawn's trying to sell him more on Leia and the twins, because I think Thrawn thinks they're more manageable.
Yeah.
But Thrawn's going for Luke like Slughorn's going after Harry. You know what I mean? He wants the gold.
Oh, you mean Sabaoth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants the legend.
The Muggles that live in this house are in the Canary Islands. That's my Slughorn.
It was okay. 6 out of 10, I think.
Yeah, it's not my best.
No.
But I do one impression per week to try to get a job.
You know what you ran about things that weren't, and I ran about things that were. It really pisses me off. He should have had a mustache. Such an easy fix.
Slughorn?
Yeah, it's a huge thing in the book. Talks about his walrus mustache at least 7 times, and they're like, no, let's make him clean shaven. I was like, freaking, what's the point, man? Just give him the big old stash, bruh.
I sent you
Just
the
give it
clip
to him.
right of that podcast that was talking about how he was pissed off at Dumbledore shouldn't have a wand.
No, it was just that he was struggling in the fight, I think, was the.
Yeah, but at the end
rant.
he was like, Dumbledore shouldn't carry a wand. Those guys have been very entertaining. I've been watching a lot of their stuff lately.
That's funny.
So you kind of have the back and forth here. Thrawn and Sabaoth continue to jostle for power, but we can see Thrawn's first signs of betraying him in 3 and 4.
Yeah. Well, not the first, but definitely like the most overt after they've started to cooperate a little bit.
I guess what I mean to say is it's the first time that he's like, and then we'll kill him.
Yeah.
You know, not quite, but let's see. There's a moment on here. I want a course projection, the most direct line from Nikolon to Jomark at the best speed an X-Wing could take. And then Pelion says, do you think he's right about Skywalker going there? The Jedi have ways of influencing people. We'll wait along Skywalker's projected approach to Jomark and ambush him, at which point we decide whether to turn him over to Sabaoth or kill him.
Yeah.
And
I also like that Thrawn's doing this knowing that Sabaoth is just going to be on the ship also.
What do you mean?
Like, it's not like Sabaoth is going somewhere by himself for a minute. He's going to be on the ship while they go do repairs, and then he's going to, then he's going to go to the planet and wait for Luke.
Yeah.
But he's going to be there. You know what I mean? At least while they're kind of in transit, and I think that's kind of funny. But then, we skipping ahead, we go, and, the gang's all here, and then you got Lando animated, and he looks kind of like Lionel Richie to me. And if instead, like, is it me you're looking for, the next line was...
Hello, what have we here?
Hello, what have we here?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was playing that for a couple of minutes. And they're kind of going back and forth. One thing that frustrates me about this version is they're like, oh yeah, this whole reason that Luke went to Dagobah, his whole takeaway, it's kind of like an aside conversation. And they're like, there's a short range transmission coming out of your chamber. And they're like, what is it? And Luke's like, this thing. And they're like, well, what is it? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it right now. And then they like keep going. Like there's not any more conversation about that. I hate that.
The little transmitter he found?
Yeah. We still don't know what it is. I think it ends up being a what do they call that? Slave something.
Yeah.
What is it called?
It's basically it's a slave system that basically.
I'm trying to remember the technical term.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It makes you be able to control your
multiple ships.
A beck and call system. That's what
there
it is.
There you go, beck and call.
Because they call it being slave rigged or something. Essentially, it's being able to control the ship at a distance, like a remote control for your shippy ship.
Yeah.
But they touch on it a little bit, and then they're like, no more.
Yeah, it's a beck and call, and they really don't talk about it that much. After that,
I always enjoyed beck and call because it's obviously a play on beck and call.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so silly.
It's really silly.
It's a very Timothy Zahn joke.
It's a very hot chocolate sort of thing. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
Exactly. So moving right along, they decide that the safest place and the safest plan is to take Leia to Kashyyyk amongst the Wookiees. And instead of everybody going together, Luke's going to go do his thing. And Han and Lando will stay aboard the Falcon. And then Chewie and Leia are actually going to go on Lando's ship, which is called the Lady Luck, which is another cool kind of...
Yeah.
It makes sense in Star Wars, but that Lady Luck is obviously a freaking term.
Yeah, an Earth term.
Earth term. Lady Luck. Ah, yes.
What do you want tonight? Listen, Ma.
My little Borat.
I like you. I like you, lady.
It's nice.
You're lucky.
This is my wife.
She's not lucky. I hate her.
Do you remember when he makes out with that girl and he goes, this is my sister? Okay, so then we decide the biggest, craziest ruse we can pull is to reprogram 3PO to have Leia's voice. And then 3PO has like this big moral clash and he's like, this isn't right. I'm like, okay, of all the freaking things... Luke can murder millions on the Death Star, but I won't change my voice.
It does remind me a lot of Episode 9, where he's...
The Sith Code and all that stuff. I actually was thinking about that too.
I also was like, Leia's like, oh my, he sounds exactly like me. And then she looks at Han, she's like, do I really sound like that? And I was like, do you or don't you, lady?
Yeah. I did think it was very relatable though, because everybody hates the sound of their own voice.
Yeah.
Pause the whole comic book thing.
Okay. Why not?
In Episode 9...
Okay.
The Sith Blade.
Okay. This one?
Yeah, this one here.
The one that's like when you went to the Italian restaurants when you were a kid, and to keep the kids from screaming, they gave you the little like...
Yeah, exactly, yes. The thing at Zio's. That's what you're thinking of. Okay. Why does the knife look like the crashed Death Star? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about. I think it's like a "you are here" sort of thing because the little extendo arm comes out and points to where they need to.
Yes.
I get it. I understand. I'm with you on both fronts. All right.
Like Shadows of the Sith by Adam Christopher was a really, really cool book. It's Luke and Lando, and you get some cool Sith stuff and some Force stuff and things like that. Ochia Bestoon is in that
I don't think I caught
book
that
a
read.
lot. Great book. You get a lot of Ochia Bestoon.
Yeah, of
Ochi
course.
is freaking... He's the coolest.
For those of us who don't know who Ochia Bestoon is, I haven't read that book.
But, okay. Ochi's the one that steals... That's Rey's ship. That's Ochi's ship that Rey
Oh, is this a
sees her
canon
family.
novel?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't read.
Okay. Oh, but it's in,
I get
he's in
what you're
comics
talking
and stuff
about.
like that too.
Yeah.
But
He's the one that has the dagger.
yes.
Okay.
So, and he's like
For those of you who did know, obviously I knew that.
yeah. So Ochi is a non-force sensitive like disciple of the Sith.
Yeah.
Okay. So he works for Vader and for the Emperor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But long story short, I can't. Maybe I need to do some research, but I can't wrap my brain around.
What do they call those on Egg School? A Sith what?
a Sith cultist?
Is it just cultist? I thought there was a cooler term for it. I wanted to say acolyte, but I feel
The
like
Sith
that's
Eternal is the name of the group.
Okay. Continue, sorry.
So, anyways, that's always bugged me. I wish I could wrap my brain around why the dagger being shaped a certain way looks exactly like where they need to go on the Death Star. And maybe I knew at one point.
It was intentional, I
But
believe.
But the dagger's older than that. Is what I'm saying. It's an ancient Sith dagger. It's got ancient Sith runes on it. You see what I'm saying?
Well, somebody just likes their dead languages. I don't know, man.
You know what? Let's use...
The Sith Eternal Cold.
I'm going to go to your least favorite, ChatGPT.
Oh, God. It's making you stupid.
We are going to take a swift break. We're probably just over 30 minutes at this point, okay?
I'd say well over.
What is the reasoning
It's not going to know.
behind the Sith dagger looking exactly like the fallen and destroyed Death Star 2 in
Oh, my God.
Star Wars Episode 9? Question mark. Reasoning. How can I put reasoning? What is the explanation instead of reasoning? Yeah, that's one of the biggest wait what moments in Star Wars, it says. Okay, so chat's on my side. The in-universe explanation, the Sith dagger is an ancient artifact inscribed with runes that supposedly lead to the location of the Wayfinder, which guides Rey to Exegol, which I understand. When Rey and the others find the dagger on Pisana, she later realizes it lines up exactly with the jagged outline of the Death Star 2. See, that's my thing.
Can we get back to our thing now?
Okay, I'm
Okay.
so sorry. It doesn't make sense because the Death Star 2 is younger than the dagger.
I know.
Is my point. Okay, so
There was one discrepancy. So we kind of skip ahead. There's not really any point in lingering. They make a little plan. They realize that they can't get a hold of a hacker, yada, yada. They're the guy with the red plum lotus or whatever. And then they're like, well, you know, why don't you just go to Kashyyyk? We could have figured this out without ever coming to Lando's planet. Then they're going to do the old switcheroo in the ships. And then they take exactly like 4 minutes and 53 seconds. So... yeah, they're docked in space, and Thrawn's like, 3 people switched. There's a typo on page 10, and there's a whole conversation between Pelion and Thrawn where Thrawn's doing the Sherlock Holmes like
unpacking
slow time deduction, and Thrawn says that Leia and the Wookiee are on the Millennium Falcon, but it's very important if you read the comics to realize what the person writing this panel should have said is that they're on the Lady Luck, and the Lady Luck is headed to Kashyyyk, and Thrawn knows it.
Yeah, so
Thrawn, being aware of this, also sends ahead a contingent of Nogri
to Kashyyyk.
and Pelion's like, hey, the Kashyyyk are pretty good fighters, and Thrawn's like, and so are the Nogri. Next slide. You know, he's just completely unconcerned.
He has more confidence in the Nogri than I have in pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
So just reading the panel, because I've read it several times, and I'm glad you pointed it out, because I was going to point it out and I forgot. But I'm glad that you caught it as well. So they're talking about the time that it took and when they were docked and all this other stuff, like you said. Thrawn says 4 minutes, 53 seconds, 3 people transfer between those 2 ships. At any rate, this is Pelion. We know that Leia Organa Solo remained aboard the Falcon. Thrawn says, do we indeed? Pelion says, I believe we do. We intercepted a transmission from her aboard the Falcon after the Lady Luck left. A voice print doctor droid, probably that 3PO protocol droid, says Thrawn. Pelion says, I don't understand. Thrawn says, Organa Solo and the Wookiee are aboard the Millennium Falcon. I know exactly where they're going.
Lady Luck. Should say Lady Luck.
Should say Lady Luck there.
I do enjoy how Tim Zahn paints the Golden Trio as like Wile E. Coyote, where they have these very elaborate schemes that never seem to really fool Thrawn.
Yeah.
And they also have just almost a comedic timing of intersections where everywhere Thrawn goes, so also are Luke and Leia and Han. And sometimes it's intentional and sometimes it's not. Like, they just happen to be at, I guess, the most convenient mining facility that was run by a close friend that they haven't talked to since Death Star 2.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah.
If it's been that long. So then...
Also...
Go ahead.
Friend from 5 years ago suggests the only other smuggler we've seen Thrawn interact with.
Talon Card? Yeah.
Who, anytime he's on, if you've listened to the audio drama version of the novels, Mark Thompson's reading, and he gives Talon Card a very Puss in Boots kind of voice.
Yeah, he does.
And so whenever I'm reading the...
This is Talon Card.
Anytime I read it, and I'm like, you must be Luke Skywalker.
You must be a...
That's more French, but
that is French.
My Spaniard's
like
not
he's
very
Spain,
good.
I guess, yeah. This is... I am Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, right?
That's pretty good.
That is funny. I wonder... I need to reach out to Mark. Every once in a while, I'll text him and he'll be like, yes. I want to be like, hey, were you watching Puss in Boots when you were doing Talon Card? This is Talon Card. But moving right along, so we do finally try to catch Luke.
I like to think of Talon as a French.
Really?
Yeah, his personality is very French.
He seems not as...
It would make sense having to find out from you why the woman hates you, but I guess we had nothing to talk about right now.
Yeah, but he seems less weenie-ish than what I imagined.
Yeah,
French.
but he's also like Frog from Flushed Away, where he always just has the sassy retort for Toad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We finally get our look at the brutal side of Thrawn.
Yes, very
and
brutal.
So they finally find Luke.
And they go to the intersection point.
Yep, they're going to tractor beam him in.
There's a hammerhead freighter, it looks like. This is part of, I think it's kind of a lure situation. Thrawn says, let's get, XYZ. One of those variables would be a freighter of some sort, preferably dispensable. Or disposable, I can't remember which word he uses. And it seems like he's kind of doing a bait and switch where it's just essentially an empty freighter. Luke sees right through it, tries to destroy the freighter to break traction beam control, I guess.
Right.
That doesn't exactly work. And there's a failed attempt to capture Luke, but not super failed. Luke, in the attempted escape, manages to fry his hyperspace capabilities.
He kind of pulls the...
It's very similar to, I was thinking about Andor. No, I was thinking Andor with what's the cat's name who's founded the Resistance, essentially?
Luthen?
Yes, Luthen does the escape from the Imperial blockade. It's very sick. One of the coolest scenes in all of Andor.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of this.
I was thinking of whenever the first... when Obi-Wan dumps off a bunch of his trash against Slave One the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this was a little bit cooler than dump spare parts.
Yeah, so what he does is he's in the tractor beam and he fires some proton torpedoes
with no tracking signature on them.
Yep. And so it thinks it's pulling those in. Instead, it kind of gives him like it breaks the signal, essentially.
Yeah.
And he pulls away. And Thrawn,
aware of the maneuver,
comes up to the bridge and says your name. And the gentleman says, Chris Peterson, sir, which is a very like Earth name. And he says, "You were in charge of the tractor beam. It wasn't my fault." Thrawn says, "Explain." "I was never trained for such an occurrence, sir. The computer couldn't tell the X-Wing from the torpedoes." He says, "Who is your officer?" He says, "Ensign," I can't read that name, "sir." And he says, "Are you in charge of this man?" "Yes, sir." "His training was your responsibility?" "Yes, sir." "He was a conscript." "I see." And then he calls Rook, and Rook comes over. "Anyone can make an error, Ensign, but that error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it." And he kills the man who was responsible for the tractor beam.
Yeah. You know what your rating of that reminds me of? Again, The Office, that scene where they're doing the, what's it called when you're brought in for questioning, but it's informal. It's like in a room.
Interrogation of some sort?
No.
Interview?
No. Anyway, doesn't matter. And there's a lady reading back the transcription of what's been happening. It's like, "Can I go to the bathroom?" "No, you just went to the bathroom 3 minutes ago, but I really have to go this time." "Does that mean you didn't have to go to last time?" "Yes, but this time I really have to go." That's what it...
Oh. Well, I'm trying to take up too much time. So, yes, to your point, Luke basically fries his capability of continuing to fly, and so he's stuck at the outside of his, on the other side of his jump. He has this super dope space mask that I guess attaches to the bottom of his X-Wing helmet. He's stuck there in space. And on the next page, we are finally on Kashyyyk.
Yeah,
which
Luke's
is
doing a little spacewalk, doing some repairs. I know what the life support and the limitations are, and he says, "R2, wake me up if there's any issues or if you think there's going to be an issue." But the cool thing, and this is something that Tim Zahn uses a lot in this trilogy, is the concept of Luke for extended periods of, I guess, the life support capabilities of an X-Wing are fairly limited.
Right.
And so they're usually used only for short-term travel. They're going to be stored probably inside of transport or doing shorter paced jumps. And Luke will... he's just freaking obsessed with this X-Wing, and so he will use it to go virtually anywhere, but to sustain the flight, he'll go into a forced trance, which is something that we see a lot in this trilogy. That's, I feel, almost exclusive to this trilogy.
The forced trance for travel?
Yeah. I don't remember having seen that, I think, in any of the other books or comics I've read.
Yeah, it's one of the, like, when you're watching the movies, they don't ever really tell you, like, how long something's going to take. So they're like, light speed, and you're like, that must be fast as hell. Yeah. And then they get there, you know? And this was the first time that I really remember thinking, oh, wow, light speed, it's still 10 hours.
Yeah.
You know, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, he goes
Cold,
to a trance.
Sure.
What?
I was thinking of Anakin's first hyperspace, and they're like, "How you feeling?" He goes, "Cold. Need a blanket, cold, sir."
So we arrive on Kashyyyk, which is really freaking cool looking.
Yeah. And it's neat because, as far as I know, this is the first time in print we see Kashyyyk or any visual representation of Kashyyyk.
Oh, that's a good question.
I guess maybe aside from the Christmas special.
Yeah, the holiday special?
Yeah, the holiday special would
that would have been our first Kashyyyk. But it's just massive. The architecture style of the Wookiees is super cool.
Very neat.
Although, you'll notice on page... what page is this? It skips a second. 18?
Yeah, I believe 18 is our first look at Kashyyyk.
Look where they land the ship. Like, there aren't landing pads. It's just a tree that's sawed off.
Yeah, tree stump.
Which would not be a thing in real Wookiee life.
What if they really needed somewhere to park their ships?
No.
Really need it.
They would
really need it.
They would.
I need it so bad. I need it so bad.
Call me right now, please. Yeah, I feel like maybe like carving into the tree, but the tree continues to live versus just... I know that the tree is still technically living, but to have a stump like that...
But I really need it.
It strikes me as something that the Wookiees wouldn't do.
And then, skipping forward to the next panel or page, we meet one of the most interesting Wookiee concepts
of all time.
This is really something that's quite funny to me, and I remember we talked about it at length when I first got through the novel, but there's a Wookiee, and he's essentially able to speak basic to Leia. There's no need for a translator. And Leia looks at Chewie and she goes, "Let me guess, you've had a speech impediment this whole time?" And he goes, "Actually, it is me who has the speech impediment."
Yeah.
He being, his
Ralra
nickname
Sheen.
is Ralra, is how he's referred to most of the time.
Yeah, but Raul Rasheen is very, very cool looking. He actually has a little robe on, which looks similar to almost like a Life Day outfit. And
He's got a cool sword on his back, too.
Yeah, they're going to take him somewhere safe to get Leia set up. And wouldn't you know it, a Nogri is already there.
Yeah, already there somehow. And she goes over there, and they're like, where?
Yeah, they go and check it out. Chewie doesn't even open a door. He just blasts through it.
Classic Chewie.
One of the other Wookiees with Raul Rasheen goes and checks it out. And Leia says, he was there, I saw him. And Raul Rasheen says, that may be true, but we found no trace.
Yeah.
And so they decide the best thing they can do is find somewhere safe for Leia.
Yeah.
And then a group of Wookiees will try to track down the Nogri while they're keeping her safe.
Seems they already kind of have a safe house set up, and they're like, enough with this foolishness. Let's go ahead and just get you to the safe house. We'll continue the investigation later.
Right.
That's pretty much it for that story arc for now in this issue.
Switching pace, we're back with Luke. He comes out of the trance, and R2's letting him know that someone is looking for him. And it's interesting because, to your point, Talon Karrde is the only one that anyone on the good side or the bad side ever talks to.
Yep.
Like, you have the Golden Trio doing their thing. You have Thrawn and Sabaoth, and everyone's talking to Talon Karrde.
Yeah, he is monkey in the middle.
Which is interesting because it seems like Thrawn would have told Talon to go looking for Luke because of the damage to his X-Wing. Because at this point, the Empire's the only one that knows.
Yeah.
And so he comes across him. He's got the, isn't it called the Wild Card?
Yeah, freaking cool name.
Which is a freaking wild card with Talon Karrde, Karrde. Brilliant.
Lady Luck, wild card.
I know.
Who we got next? Russian roulette.
Just,
It's Dengar.
Timzon is just doing his thing. So you have the wild card.
It.
And it's really, really cool. He says, if you care to come aboard, we can offer you passage to our destination. Hold your present position. We'll throw a force cylinder out to you unless you'd rather suit up and spacewalk. I have yet to have heard before or since of a force cylinder that works this way. It's actually pretty freaking cool.
It's essentially what you think of when you think alien abduction.
Yes, it's really cool. And Luke says the cylinder sounds fastest. How did it appear anyway? And then you'll notice Talon Karrde does not answer the question.
Yep.
He says, you'll want to bring your asteroid droid. He's Spanish Toydarian, if you didn't know that. But
yes, Nubia.
bring the astromech. Son of a bitch, it's this guy again. Artudito, what the hell you do here?
Fixing the droid.
So they zoom up in the alien beam, and
Little Annie. It's really funny.
it is you.
The only reason he recognized him was his aptitude for repairing broken droids.
Yeah. So
Really says how Watto views the galaxy. Can you fix a droid or can't
Or
you fix
not.
a droid? And the Venn diagram overlap is very small. Human and can fix a droid is only Anakin Skywalker.
hang on a second. I only know one white guy do that.
Ugh, we love him.
That's like growing up. Anytime I go play basketball, I get picked last everywhere I went. And then I would play really well. And all of a sudden, I was Larry Bird.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I also,
you get a lot of
as
Luka
an adult,
Doncic now with the
really
youngsters.
obsessed over Watto's neck beard.
It's gross.
Never really noticed it as a young guy because
It's
I was
absolutely
fixated on his wings and his
disgusting.
Ice Age character trunk. But
I also like the little hat he's got.
yeah, it's a little jaunty angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you make it aboard the wild card. And I did like Luke asked him, how did you know who I was? And Talon Karrde says, with a lightsaber attached to your belt, you're either Skywalker or someone with an insufferably high opinion of himself.
Yeah.
I actually really like Talon Karrde. He's a very cool character.
He is cool. You want to not like him, but you
Yeah.
like him. It's like when you watch Mindhunter for the first time, if you've ever seen that, and you see their interviews with Ed Kemper, a serial killer.
That's the mustache guy, right?
Yeah, mustache guy.
Yep.
Look kind of like Tim McKenzie. Shout out Tim McKenzie. And you don't want to like him,
Yeah.
but you kind of like him. And
funny.
you know that he's a serial killer, and you have these mixed emotions. You're like, he's a bad guy, but
Is he super likable?
he's really likable.
I mean, I guess that makes kind of sense. You have to be somewhat likable to be a serial killer in most cases.
Yeah. He's probably the only guy that was like more charismatic after he became a serial killer, as opposed to using his charisma for the serial killing.
AKA Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting when he's making his way up from getting sucked up into the life beam.
Mm-hmm.
He has a thought and says, "That's odd. The aft section of the ship remains dark to me."
Mm-hmm.
As if someone's hiding their presence.
Yeah.
Which it turns out is Mara Jade.
That, or I always kind of assumed it had an Islamari influence, because he says the whole aft remains dark to me. It would,
Oh, you think they have an Islamari aboard?
I would think so. If you were intending on capturing a Jedi and you were one of the
maybe.
5 people in the galaxy aware of an Islamari and one of the 2 people in the galaxy that had the ability to capture and contain an Islamari very easily, i.e. your base is on the planet where Islamari are born and living in the only place in the entire galaxy, and you're that guy, and you know you're going to capture a Jedi for 30,000 credit reward, I would for sure, being that one guy in the galaxy that has the base on the Islamari planet and knows where they are and what they can do and how to harvest them correctly. If you're that guy, yeah, for sure, I'd have a couple Islamari on my wildcard chip.
All right.
Yeah.
So moving right along, Luke makes his way to the bridge.
Getting a look at Thrawn's internal monologue right now.
Reaches out.
It's
and,
obviously much more filtered by the time it makes it out of his mouth.
Feels something strange in the Force, and then he hears, "I hate you," and then
Pretty petulant little first introduction.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I wonder, because her outfit's a little bit different, if he doesn't notice that she's the girl from his dream or vision. Mm-hmm. But
Do you think he's aware of what she's wearing in the Force?
I thought that they'd be in person here at some point.
He's seeing her through the Force initially. She's on the bridge.
Yeah. I think that he sees her because she stuns him.
I think he's aware of her presence. I don't think that he would know what she looks like. I think it's why he doesn't know who she is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, she goes like this.
Yeah, he either makes a weird face
Also,
or
my
says
name's Mara.
something to Talon, and Talon says, "Yes, that's her. It took me several months to realize it was you personally for whom she had these feelings."
Yeah.
Luke says, "I've never met her before," and Talon says, "No, a pity. I was hoping you could tell me why she feels that way. I suppose there's nothing for us to talk about at the moment." Mm-hmm. To which Luke gets zapped, and that's the end of part 3.
That's the end of part 3.
So Luke has met Mara Jade, who, spoiler alert, is going to be his wife.
My wife.
Someday, but she has a very strong hatred for him.
She hates his
because
guts.
of his role. For those of you who are
You
listening,
make me vomit.
the scum between my toes. Love alfalfa. But Mara Jade, or Mara Jade, however you want to go about it, Han or Han. For those of you who are listening or watching and don't know, her nickname or whatever was the Emperor's Hand.
Yeah, and there's a whole other trilogy called The Hand of Thrawn.
Is that a duology?
Maybe it's a duology. You might be right. I've been wrong before.
Spectre of the Past,
there's
Vision of the Future.
There's a series that is
Should have been a
called
trilogy
The
because
Hand
both of
of
those
Thrawn.
books are 6,000 pages long.
And turns out Mara Jade is the hand of the Emperor, but it's kind of like, now who's the hand of Thrawn?
Yeah. So basically what we learn is that Mara was sheltered from all the evil doings of the Empire. So when the rebellion overthrew the Empire, it was like, imagine if you had an adopted parent and they were super sweet to you and you never knew they were a serial killer. So whenever they got killed, all you knew was their good side, it's weird to think of
Somebody loving the Emperor in like a fatherly capacity.
Yeah. Or him having the capacity to be fatherly to somebody.
I don't know. If you read the Plagueis novel, he was getting some. Palpatine. Palpatine was getting some. He was a ladies' man.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, I think that's
He was
true.
so charismatic that people were surprised to find out how violent he was eventually.
Yeah. I guess what I mean to say is once the cat's out of the bag and he's the Emperor.
The opposite of Ed Kemper, if you will.
Yeah.
The Ted Bundy. He was so charismatic, and he got to...
Yeah.
You remember he let out his serial killer inclination on that one senator? The one that's like... Rah, rah, rah.
What are you talking about? I'm
In the
completely
book,
lost.
there's a senator, and I'm trying to remember their name. It'll come to me. He's basically going.
Are you
against
talking about Ted Bundy or the Emperor?
the emperor?
Oh, you made a Ted Bundy reference. He said, "Remember when he?" So
No.
I'm going Ted Bundy full stop, and I'm like,
I'm
I don't-
always talking about Sheev.
Okay, so there's a. Go ahead. What were we saying?
Anyway, he's so charismatic as a senator, and he's
Yeah.
got like his hidden lightsabers. But then there's a senator that is going against what him and Plagueis want to do, and then he like freaking tears up the place. There's like a whole nasty crime scene.
Is he a Gran?
Yeah,
with the
that's
three
the one.
eyes.
Yeah.
Okay,
The Grans.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember that. But yes, so I guess it's just interesting that like in Rebels you see a moment where the Emperor sends a
You seem troubled, my friend.
he sends a video cast of himself or whatever. Thrawn's trying to lure Ezra into a trap, and the Emperor presents himself as like this charming old man, and he's like no scars, no wrinkles, no nothing. And then once it starts, it's silly when you like unpack it because you're like, why would the transmission, like if it was fuzzy, why would it go back and forth between his real person or not? Anyways, obviously it's a visual representation of the Emperor, but
right?
yeah. But it's interesting that he would have such a fatherly and like, in a weird way, seems like he had like a legitimately loving role towards Mara Jade. And so obviously Luke is the bane of her existence in that sense because he's responsible for the Emperor's demise.
So if we look at how Mara's dressed in this comic panel,
With the jumpsuit and the...
she looks like she's wearing a hood and some kind of goggles. It looks very much like Rey in Episode 7.
Yeah. Very true.
What's with that?
I don't know.
You decide.
So at this point, we're on Kashyyyk. Lando and Han are off doing their thing. We're mainly focused on the Wookiees trying to track down the Nogri on Kashyyyk.
What's really funny is in the middle of all of this, Lando's actively taking Han to go visit Talon Card.
Yeah.
Yet again, making another point of contact with Talon Card.
Yeah.
He's holding all the cards, you might say.
Yes. He's the Joker's wild. The Joker's name is Talon Card. But nothing really to speculate on here because it's such a wide open part of this little story. But real quick, just your thoughts, and then we'll wrap things up. Thrawn is so obsessed with the capability of the Nogri, and understandably so. He's had them by his side for probably a couple of decades now. But obviously, let's say you send a team of, in the first comic or the second comic, we saw that there were like 7 or 8 of them per squad. If you send 7 or 8 to a planet full of Wookiees, what do you think the odds really are? I guess the idea is a simple extraction. They're not trying to kill the whole planet.
Yeah,
but
I think the offset is that sometimes a small team can do what a large team cannot, i.e. if you send like an invading force, it's going to attract a lot more attention than like 3 or 4 people who might be able to break in the castle and open the front gates. You know what I mean? And so I think it's like he's aware they have these unique cloaks that if you are into the original Star Wars and the Falcon's trying to break away, one of the Imperials says to Vader, "My lord, no ship that small has a cloaking device." So it's kind of, I think, in the lore in this era of Star Wars that personal sized privacy is really like you have to get a big ship, I think, or something large enough to power the idea of like an invisible presence. The Nogri have the ability to disguise themselves quite effectively, and I think Thrawn really relies on this quite a lot.
you mean on a personal level, like the individual Nogri?
And so I think Thrawn really relies on what they can do as smaller units as opposed to like, you know, more modern Thrawn was saying, hey, we should really spend a lot of the Imperial budget on smaller, more deployable, less localized
Yeah, hence the TIE Defender
ships.
project.
Yeah, as opposed to, hey, this one ship that can be in one place at any given time is a huge waste of resources, you know? That's kind of the mind of Thrawn to me, that it's like if you have something that is adaptable, and even both versions of Thrawn, adaptability is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Whether or not he applies that in a certain fashion is up for debate, but he's going to be the guy that's, if something is adaptable and widely applicable, he's going to put a lot of faith in that over something I think that's necessarily like brute force.
Yeah, I think that his...
Which I think is how he might view the Wookiees, as more like capable but more brutish.
If you put, 10 Nogri bodyguards who are trained from birth, essentially, and you put 10 Wookiee warriors who are trained from birth, and you put them in like a Coliseum, type situation, the Wookiees almost always come out on top because they're stronger.
Right.
They've got these crazy claws they can technically fight with if they have to. But Thrawn's idea is the deadlier of the two, like the more assassin type of the two,
Which, suits his purposes here. He doesn't need somebody to kill, like you said, kill the planet. He just needs somebody that can...
He's essentially just needing to kidnap.
It's Batman versus Superman. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like, okay, obviously in a one-on-one, no planning involved, Batman's going to get his crap packed because he's just a dude with a suit.
Right.
However, everybody's like, well, Bruce Wayne with all this planning has all these contingency plans for what happens if any of them, go off the track.
Right.
And, that's how we got a whole movie about Mother Mary. And
it's interesting too because Tim Zahn always says Thrawn can never be beaten in battle unless there's an unforeseen situation.
Unless something completely unexpected happens.
The Bindu, or in that one episode where he has Hera dead to rights, and one guy's like, I'm not going to miss my chance for glory, and he breaks the line.
Yeah, crazy.
Those are both things that are out of his control, breaches of command, forced beings, things like that. And so I think that his tactical DNA has been passed on to the Nogri in a sense of like, it's all pre-planning, it's all precision.
Yeah. It's all about what can you do in any given situation. I think, with the proper preparations, he puts a lot of faith in the Nogri.
Yeah.
And it says a lot because his last line of defense, and essentially his first line of defense in personal security, is one Nogri.
Yeah.
He entrusts his life at any given time to this one person, and so, if he's entrusting his own personal safety to somebody, it
says a lot.
Speaks a lot.
It reminds me of when Conor was on the up and coming in the UFC and he was getting ready to fight Jose Aldo in that infamous 12-second knockout. But leading up to that, Jose hadn't lost a fight in almost 10 years. And so everybody that knew about MMA was like, yeah, this Conor guy's an up and coming whatever. And me and you were a little bit fresh at the time, so we were like, obviously Conor. But if you go back and watch fights before that, you're like, Jose Aldo's probably going to mop the floor with him.
Right.
And, he practices the lean back and the counter punch, which is how he ends up knocking him out. And he says something, I can't remember if it was before or after the win. I think it was in the post-fight presser. But he says, precision beats power and timing beats speed. So, like, maybe Jose was faster, but Conor's timing was better. And then maybe Jose was considered a
harder
stronger hitter, which I don't agree with. Conor's left hand is one of the best counterpunchers ever. But it's the precision that was important in that moment.
Right.
So it's like one Wookiee versus one Nogri.
Yeah.
Butt naked in the sand. Obviously, the Wookiee wins. But it's the precision and it's the Thronness of it all that makes them so deadly. So
it's the might of his mind, not the might of his arm.
Yeah, but very interesting stuff. So that's part 3. Yeah, part 3.
Part 3.
And so we are just under. We're 1/6 of the way there.
Yep.
So we're halfway through Heir to the Empire. We've got 3 more to go in Heir, and then we're into Dark Force Rising.
Yes.
And you get more.
Only goes up from here.
Mara Jade, more of Talon Card, more of all kinds of stuff, and exciting stuff. So
Indeed.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok as well as Instagram. On Instagram, we're doing more stuff where there's lore facts, infographics, all kinds of stuff like that. So feel free to check us out at the Chiss Ascendancy podcast. And do not forget, the Force will be with you always.
And more importantly, more than all of that, remember this.
Every week he says that.
It's because it's more important every week.
I do a whole unloading of all cool things, and then he says, don't forget.
It's more important. The only family you have here is me.
We'll see you next time.